Okay, kom ons terug gaan stil. Yes. Just accounts. Net rekeninge. Ek het nie notas gevra nie. I didn't ask any notes. I just asked accounts. Ek het net rekeninge gevra. I only asked accounts, nothing else. But the notes I will leave for, I left that for the test. Okay. Remember, I'm only allowed to test something, the same thing. I'm not allowed to test the same thing in the same way in a formal assessment. So if I ask accounts, which I have to ask now in your project, then I'm allowed to ask accounts in your test. Dis regtig maar net hoe dit werk. Goed, kom ons kyk gou hierna. Ons het mos gister gegaan en ons het gepraat oor die kontantvloei staat en ons het ek het vir jou gesê, ons eerste ding gaan wees, ons moet hierdie nota, this note, we have to be able to do this note. Before we can do the note, there's only one note, daar's net een nota by die kontantvloei staat. Before we do the note, we must be able to identify the change in inventory, die verandering in ontvangbares en die verandering in betaalbares. Inventory is easy because we work from the assumption that this business has a constant inventory. As ek nou R10 se voorraad het aan die einde van die jaar, wil ek volgende jaar ook R10 se voorraad hê. If the inventory is more next year, this year than last year, then you have to spend money to get that inventory to a higher amount. But vir jou uitvloei sal wees, if your inventory decreased last year 10 year, this year 9 rand, dan jy meer voorraad verkoop and that would be an inflow of cash. Are you fine with inventories? Toe dit gegaan na ontvangbares. Receivables is everybody that owes us money. But we must not forget that income tax and anything to do with interest must be shown separately inside. So if there is a part of receivables, anything about income tax or anything about interest on loans, interest on fixed deposit, dan kan jy dit nie nou gebruik nie, want jy moet dit apart binne in die kontantvloei staat gaan wys. Ons het gekyk in die oefening wat gegee is. They gave you an amount for trade and other receivables, maar daar staan 'n nota by. So you had to go to the note to read what exactly is that. En toe sien jy, trade and other receivables consist out of net trade debtors en inkomstebelasting, SARS, and interest on loan. I cannot use those two because that will be used separately inside to get the income tax amount, to get the interest paid amount. Is julle by daarmee? So ek kan dit nie nou gebruik nie. So wat het met die debiteure gebeur? Last year it was 87,100, this year 96,700, which means it increased. As dit vermeerder, beteken dit die besigheid het geld spandeer op debiteure. If debt is increased, the business, this company spent money on debtors, so that would be an outflow. Is julle all right? Are we fine with that? Are we okay? So ek het dit die sommetjie gaan doen met dit hierso het ek geskryf. It's an outflow, dis 'n uitvloei. And the amount of the outflow, kom ons kyk gou-gou, 96,700 minus the 87,100. $9,600, 9,600. So ek gaan dit nou hier inloop skryf. I'm going to write it. Remember, we are busy doing this. En vergeet om dit te skryf. It's an outflow. Dit gaan nou uit. Ek sien nog die oefening klik is, dit is die voorbeeld. Nou, here's the cash flow. Okay. It's an outflow. Ek gaan dit so byskryf. Dis 'n uitvloei. En die bedrag wat ons uitgee is 9,600. Is julle reg? It's an outflow. It means we are spending money. If our debtors increase from last year to this year, you spend money on the debtors. Right. Nou moet ons gaan na handels en ander betaalbares. First, go to the statement and see what they tell you. Wat sê hulle vir ons van handels en ander betaalbares? It was 248,000 last year. Dis hierdie jaar 210,000. Again, there's a note next to it. Kan jy sien, daar's 'n nota langs aan dit, which means you cannot use the amounts as supplied, want jy weet nie waaruit dit bestaan nie. The note is going to clarify what you saw as trade and other payables. Are you fine with that, people? So in die nota, wat staan in die nota? There's mine. We know that anything about interest, anything about income tax, and anything about dividends cannot be used. Hoekom kan dit nie gebruik word nie? Want jy gaan dit binne in die kontantvloeistaat gebruik. So we cannot use anything to do with interest, income tax, or dividends, because that must be shown separately inside your cash flow statement. If you go back to the format of the cash flow statement, right at the start, you will see that they tell us interest received, interest paid, dividends paid, tax paid, all of that must be shown separately inside. So you cannot use that now to calculate the change in payables or receivables, want jy gaan dit net maar apart moet doen. Is julle by daarmee? Do you understand that? Okay. So wat het met ons krediteure gebeur? What happened to the payables or the creditors? Dit was 106,000, is nou, ek gaan die dingetjie copy en paste, dan gaan ek my weer vergeet as ek al onderkant kom. Here we go. Ek gaan net hier so skryf. Right. Nee, maar daar so doen nie. Sit maar net so. Right. Dit was laas jaar 106, is hierdie jaar 101. It decreased. Why will creditors decrease? What did we do to get our creditors less? Ons moes betaal het, né? And if we pay, it is an outflow. Are we okay? So ek gaan hier so byskryf in 'n ander kleur. Oh, kyk ons uitgespel. And what is the amount? 106,890 minus the 101,500. Kry jy ook 539, is that the right answer? And that's an outflow, dis 'n uitvloei. Because we spend money. So it's kind of funny. Debtors, if they increase, it's an outflow. Want dan gee ons, must remember, debtors, if you allow people to buy on account, you are financing them. So if you allow more people to buy, your finance cost, jy belê dan meer geld, jy gee geld uit op jou debiteure. If creditors decrease, we pay them. As crediteure meer geraak het, then they are financing us. En dis vir ons invloei. Is julle by daarmee? Do you understand that? That's why since grade 10 I've been telling you, we have to get our debtors to pay more often than we have to pay our creditors, want dan kan ons debiteure ons krediteure finansier. Is julle okay daarmee? Are we fine? Okay. So daai drie bedraggies kan ons nou bereken. The next thing we have to calculate is interest paid. Want ons weet mos nou ons gaan dit nodig kry. The next thing that we have to calculate is interest paid. Nou kom ons kyk gou-gou. Hoe lyk, ek gaan net dis have an account hier. Ek wil hê jy moet na hierdie rekening kyk want dis regtig verskriklik belangrik. Just make a small interest paid. Interest on loan, ek kan die rente op noem. Ek moet nou vir my luister, want jy het nog nie dit van tevore gedoen nie. Normally, interest will have a balance. That balance will be whatever you paid so far this year. Nou, so ek gaan net bedrag opmaak. Just listen to me. The balance at the end. Oh, ek kyk net reg. Ek maak net bedrag op. Ek sien die oefening nie. I'm just explaining something. Balance at the end, let's make this 1,500. This is saldo. Then you have an adjustment. Die aansevering gesê, you still have to pay interest. Jy het nog nie betaal nie, another 1,500. This is just an example. So at the end of the year, this balance is what was paid. wat werklik betaal is. Verstaan julle dit? That's what that balance is. The balance that we supply in a normal trial balance is the balance of what you've really spent. Is julle by daarmee? If you have a trial balance, that's the balance that tells you you've spent that, you've paid that for interest. No. As daar 'n aansuivering, there's an adjustment. They tell you that you only paid for half a year, so there's an accrued expense. Daar's 'n opgelope uitgawe aan die einde van die jaar. Kom ons maak dit ook 1,500. I'm just explaining this. Are you fine with that? So what is your total expense? 3,000. So wat sal jy vat wins en verlies toe? Profit and loss. Wins en verlies, R3,000. That is not new. Hier is glad nie wat ek nou doen nie. Met 'n lyntjie hier so trek, dat jy kan sien. I'm going to total. So now this account we are happy with. Trek met 'n lyntjie, trek 'n lyntjie. Both sides 3,000. Right. So our expense, even though we did not pay the full 3,000 and you're not paying attention, even though we did not pay the full 3,000 rand, that was our expense. Begin van volgende jaar, kan jy nou vergeet dat jy daai R1,500 nooit betaal het? Can you forget about that? Do you think the bank will allow you? You can tell, oh no, I fixed my books. Don't worry, I know it's 3,000 rand, but you haven't paid 3,000 rand. Will the bank allow you to forget about that 1,500? Wat gaan die bank van jou verwag? Pay it now. Is it so nie? Right. So that means this accrued expense, daai wat net 'n aansuivering is, you have to reverse that adjustment because you never really paid that. Do you understand? Is daai R1,500 betaal? No. Mr. Dylan, you're not paying attention. But why do you need Tipex now? Oh, skryf jy nie met 'n potlood nie? Right. So this entry, hierdie inskrywingkie, is not the truth. It didn't happen. You're not allowed to keep it in your books. Want jy het nooit R1,500 betaal nie. Do you understand that item? So if I want to get rid of this lie, what must I do with that? Right on the credit side, so ek moet aan die kredietkant gaan skryf accrued expense. Want ek het nie dit laas jaar betaal nie. There's no way that I paid this. 1,500. And this is called the reversal of an adjustment. Adjustment is just to correct your books at the end of the year. That's not the truth. You didn't pay the 1,500. So you need to reverse that adjustment. Dit word die terugskrywing van 'n aansuivering genoem. Because if you leave that there, it seems as if you've paid them. Jy het nie regtig betaal nie. Jy skuld daai geld nog. Do you understand that already? 12? Okay. Is jy nou by met dit? Okay. Ek gaan dit nou doodmaak, want ek gaan nou terug na ons inligting. Right. In our information that was supplied. Kom ons gaan kyk. Hulle het hierso vir ons gesê, kom ons kyk eers. Ons wil nou weet oor lening. We want to know everything we can about loans. There's an interest expense of 23,005. Ek gaan nou alles geel maak. Daar's iets van 'n rente. Kan julle sien? We need to find all the information regarding interest. Want ons moet nou gaan uitwerk hoeveel geld is regtig op rente betaal. Yes. Sorry? But it was right just now. But interest expense will include the interest on the loan. That would most probably be the interest on the loan. Remember, interest expense is interest on loan, interest on current overdraft, and interest on creditors. That's right? So if they don't tell you, you must know it's a loan. I don't know if you can leave now because this is important work. Sorry? I can't hear you. It was bright just now. But so there's something about interest. Kom ons kyk of ons nog inligting kan kry oor rente. Hier so staan prepaid expense, interest on loan. Ons het hierdie jaar te veel betaal. There we have information regarding the interest on the loan. Can you see that? En ons kyk by handels en ander betaalbares. Accrued expense interest on loan. So nou het ons baie inligting oor die rente, kan jy dit sien? And we need to figure out all those amounts after we've taken all of that into account. What did we really pay this year as interest on the loan? Is julle by daarmee? So kom ons begin. Ek gaan by die eerste enetjie begin. Die eerste stukkie inligting wat ek gesien het, was dat daar was 'n bedrag in die inkomste staat van 23,500. Remember, that comes from the statement of comprehensive income. So in my interest on loan, small account that I have here, I know that's the profit and loss amount. Want wat in die inkomste staat staan, kom eintlik mos van die wins en verlies. Do you understand that? 23,500. Dit was mos die bedrag, né? The amount in the statement of comprehensive income is the one that was in profit and loss. Is julle alright daarmee? Are we fine with that? Is julle okay daarmee? Is there anyone who has a problem with that? Okay. Die volgende stukkie inligting wat daar staan was in trade and other debtors. Ons het vooruitbetaal hierdie jaar. We paid in advance this year. Ja, want dis mos 2021 is mos hierdie jaar. How will you indicate a prepaid expense this year? Waar gaan 'n vooruitbetaalde uitgawe kom? Credit or debit side? So prepaid expense, ek gaan nie daar skryf P of daar die bedrag vergeet. Wat was die amount? 3,500. Sorry? 5,800. Is julle reg? Do you understand that? Is julle alright daarmee? Are we fine with this? Is my nog 'n lyntjie insit? Is julle alright so ver? Are we fine so far? Okay. En dan, wat het ons nog gelees? What else did we see? We see last year there was an accrued expense. So last year we didn't pay all of that. Waar moet last jaar, waar kom opgelope uitgawe gewoonlik on this side? As ons dit terugskryf, where should I write it over? There. Is julle alright daarmee? Do you understand that? Last year's accrued expense last year. Ons moet dit terug. We need to cancel that entry this year. Opgelope uitgawe last jaar. Are you okay with that? Do you understand that, people? Is julle okay? Right. So what do we want to know? We want to know, we are looking for the bank amount. Ons soek die bankbedrag en dis nou wat ons kan gaan bereken. The bank amount will tell you exactly how much you've spent this year on interest. Wat het jy alles betaal hierdie jaar? You obviously had to pay what you owe last year. Jy kan mos nie wegkom daarvan nie. Jy moet mos betaal wat jy laas jaar geskuld het. This was the interest for this year. En jy het nog 'n bietjie vooruit betaal. So wat het jy alles betaal? Last year's interest, the one that you still owed from last year. The interest that you were supposed to pay this year, né? Dit was hierdie jaar se rente, and they told us we paid in advance. So ons het 3 lotte rente betaal. Can you do you understand that? I had to pay last year's interest because the bank is not going to forget about the interest I owed them from last year. This is this year's interest hierdie jaar. I paid that as well. Because that's the amount that they gave us in the statement of comprehensive income. That's the amount we were supposed to pay. We obviously paid that because they told us we paid that en ons het extra betaal. Is julle by daarmee? Do you understand that, Tristan? Is there anyone who has a problem? So wat is jou totale bedrag? All 3 those amounts. I've paid last year's amount. Ek moes dit betaal het want as dan gaan die bank ons opskroef. This was this year's amount, and they tell us that you paid this year and you paid a bit for last year, for next year. Is julle by? So wat is die volle bedrag? You'll have to add the 3,560 plus die 23,500 plus die 5,800. So in total, this year we spent on interest 3,2,860. En dis die bedrag wat jy sal skryf by rente betaal. That would be the amount that you will have under interest paid, because that's how much you really paid. Do you understand this, grade 12s? Is julle by? Sorry? Did remember that was in the, I'm just showing you this year. Last year, the accrued expense was there. I don't have last year's books in front of me. I only have this year. I'll give you another. Sit nog in again. Last year you had this year accrued expense. Last year. Hoe kan jy dit weghaal? Jy dit hierdie jaar aan die kant te gaan skryf. Sien jy? Are you fine with that? Remember, this is not there. This was in last year's book. Interest on loan is a nominal account. Nominale rekening gaan jy afsluit aan die einde van die jaar. Do you understand that, Titan? So at the start of this year, you have to transfer the accrued expense back into the interest on loan account. Is jy daarby? Daarmee verstaan jy dit? Ek gaan nie daar ding uithaal, maar dit moet nie daar staan nie. You understand where it comes from, Titan? It's from last year. Yes. Is jy all right hiermee? So in this year, interest paid, rente betaal. If we pay, it's an outflow, so you will have to have this in brackets. Dis geld wat jy uitgegee het. Outflow. En rente betaal moet 'n uitvloei wees, want dit sê dan jy betaal dit. Dan kan dit mos nie 'n invloei wees nie. Interest paid must be an outflow. Jy kan nie daarvan wegkom nie. Is julle all right daarmee? Are we fine with that? Volgende ding wat ons moet bereken is belasting betaal. Right. Now, tax you can do in one of two ways. Ek hou van 'n rekening, but those of you who have a problem with accounts, don't worry about accounts. Now, what do I know about? That's why we practice the SARS account. Dis hoekom is die SAID rekening so moes geoefen het. Kom ons kyk gou-gou. We know there can be a balance on this side. Of aan daai kant. Een van daai twee. Want SAID kan mos vir ons skuld of ons kan vir hulle skuld. Dis mos die waarheid. Is dit reg so julle? Dis mos hoe dit lyk. It's one of those two. Dan betaal ons mos, we have a bank amount en weer 'n bankbedrag, ek gaan net een inskryf. Then we have income tax. En dis mos inkomstebelasting. Ons kan mos nie hiervan wegkom nie. And then we have balance at end. Of saldo aan die einde. Dis mos hoe hy lyk. Here is it. This was what it like, né? So now we must go and look for the amounts. Dis wat ons nou hier moet gaan doen. It will have either a debit balance or a credit balance at the start. Dit sal of 'n debiet saldo of 'n krediet saldo aan die einde hê. Dit sal iewers vir ons moet staan. So let's see, let's go and find all the information regarding tax in this exercise. So we gaan nou terug na boontoe. Daar het vir jou gestaan net profit after tax, daar's inkomstebelasting. So ons het nou inkomstebelasting se bedrag gekry. Are you fine with that? 240,000. So I can write in my little calculation. I can write income tax was 240,000. Ek kan gaan inskryf. Ons het dit klaar gekry. Are you okay with that? Is julle all right? That's why when we did this accounts, I told you this is really important. If you do not understand accounts, you're going to be lost here. Tot verstaan nie inkomstebelasting. All I had to do was I must need to write it in. Nou moet ons gaan kyk. Moenie nou loop ek wil gou net vir jou net gou dit wys. Right, what do we know about income tax? Daar staan SARS income tax last year, part of trade and other debtors. So wat was die saldo aan die begin? 'n Debiet saldos. Are you fine with that? So daai saldo aan die begin kan ek weghaal. Don't go. Balance at the end. Waar gaan ek dit kry? By handels en ander betaalbare. Daar staan vir jou. They start at the end of this year. It has a credit balance. You know that credit balance will be on this side. Hoekom? Because you need to bring it down to the credit side. Kan jy nou die bankbedrag gaan uitwerk? Will you be able to get the bank amount? I put you in. Add, minus, and see what happens. Is julle by? You understand that? Right. Remember, tomorrow is our project. Will you please inform those who are absent? Weet jy?